What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a team that I ran in the Great League featuring Shadow, Cradily, the monster safe swap himself. This thing is incredibly disgusting, especially with the reworked Rock Tomb. I got this team from one of my Discord members, so appreciate the shout out on that one. And we were going to be using this with a Wigglytuff Claydol core. As much as you all know I despise Wiggly, I'm starting to come around on it a little bit because I've been getting slapped around by Sableyes, by Furrets, by Jellicents, for alligators, oh, you name it. And it's just like every time I'm like, man, Wiggly would destroy this. So I just started using it because I said, at least I want to try, all right? This team took me up to about 2,500 elo in the time that I used it before I began a complete downward spiral of maniacal and complete just laughing at myself. So laughing at my pain, as it were. Let's get into these games here in the Great League and see at least how I was before I went mad and dumped myself back into the 2200s. We have a lead here with a Alolan Sandslash. Opponent looks to immediately pivot. They bring in Malamar. I'm going to drop in Wigglytuff immediately here to charm this thing down. And also, so that I can keep it away from the Sandslash. Now, unfortunately for me, I have realized in this moment that Superpower actually gets... I don't know if I live that Superpower or not. I should probably try it for science one of these times. But the thing is that Malamar gets a shield in that matchup, and I think that's quite disgusting to know. And that makes that impresses me. I know it's always been that way, because Malamar's pacing to Superpowers hasn't changed, but still... So the opponent's going to try to overfarm here. I'm going to go for the Swift on bad timing just because at least I can get some damage in. Put this thing within range of pretty much one or two mud slaps if I can. And then Cradily hopefully is going to do fine against whatever's in the back. The opponent is going to be swapping into a Goodra, and while it's not really a dominant answer, I have the ability to shield the first Aqua Tail from this Goodra, and I can come in with Cradily after this Mud Slap damage. The Rock Tomb should do quite a lot of damage here. And the fact that they shield that as well, they may have just wanted to shield any incoming damage, but at the same time, that could have been an Ice Beam if they weren't keeping track of my energy. I'm going to be going for the Rock Tomb immediately. There is no timing when you're against a one-turn move user like Dragon Breath. Rock Tomb's going to get the shield, and we're looking in a really good spot here because Aqua Tail is debuffed and doing very little neutral damage, and if they have Thunder Punch, they're not going to throw it because that is resisted. So we're going to be getting the Aqua Tail, barely does anything. Opponent swaps in the Sandslash. I'm saving my Cradily, and I'm going to actually look to swap straight into Claydol, knowing the opponent just threw both moves without much farm in between, and then I can go back into my Claydol and force them to throw energy, or they have to basically get to two moves to get a KO. So that's going to be able to get a win here in this first game. Well played to the opponent. Next game up, we are going to be having Claydol against the Corviknight. This thing is going to core break my whole face off. But that's okay. We'll see what we can do here. We can at least get to a Rock Tomb at the opponent getting to a Sky Attack. They usually will opt to throw Sky Attack in these neutral situations, unless they have Payback, which I have yet to see one, but sometimes you might expect them to have it. So they're going to pop in with Cradily, and the way that we handle opposing Cradilys with this team is we want to create an HP difference in the Cradily versus our Cradily so that we can bring ours in, but we actually get a shield here, which is just as good. I'm going to bring in Wigglytuff now that we've got the Rock Tomb off. They're going to Rock Tomb me back, but I can now tank two of these Rock Tombs very comfortably, whereas if I didn't have that debuff applied, they would have come very close to two-shotting. So getting that, and then now we're going to go for a charge move. We're going to go for the Icy Wind to guarantee this knockout. The opponent looking to throw on 4 as that would have been their next move. We CMP, we Wiggly win CMP over Cradily, and then we are going to not even KO, but that's okay because them throwing a move here, honestly, is very fine. This is actually going to allow us to come in and safely get a farm down with either Cradily or Claydol. In this moment, I do choose Claydol here, just because the opponent does have a Corviknight, and while Corviknight coming in here is very much of a pain, I probably should have just gone for the farm on Cradily, but it's fine. The farm here would have definitely helped because even though the opponent's Iron Heads are super effective and they have energy, I can just shield one, go for the Rock Tomb, and I'm actually considering a farm down at this point, depending on how this goes here. If I go for one Rock Tomb here, I'm going to make sure I go for it slightly before they go for another charge move. But like at this exact moment, I'm like, I should be able to farm this down. And then I can debuff the last thing that they have, which is going to be the Sableye. So opponent's going to come in with the Sableye, but they have a move. They went for 4 Shadow Claws before swapping, and my miscount will cost me the game here. Because unfortunately, I don't have a Wiggly anymore, and their Sableye just wins up a shield. Next game, Claydol into Toxipex. Great lead here. Just have to watch out for super effective brines, which won't do much, admittedly, but I also need to absolutely keep this off of the Toxipex. So here's what I'm going to do. The opponent comes in with a Sableye. I'm going to swap in my Wigglytuff so I can keep it away. They go for the Gleam. That's fine. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually... well, I thought about it. No, maybe in hindsight, I would have stopped tapping. But they get to a Gleam, and it still pretty much two-shots me. So what I'm going to do instead of trying to be 5-head and possibly losing the game for it is I'm just going to take the energy that I have, go for a Swift here, and then if I can get to another Swift, that'd be great. And it looks like we can just barely get to it. I'm fine as long as I have alignment here. I didn't have to give up a shield, and that's the important thing. Cradilly's a much more flexible thing to have in the back, so that's why I just said, you know what, I'm just going to bring in Wigglytuff, delete the Sableye, because that's what people have been doing to me lately, and it makes me so sad. Now, being ahead on energy here and being able to get to this move is really nice. I'm not even going to bother threatening the Ice Beam. The opponent shields anyway, and they have a Rock Tomb debuff. Now I'm going to bring in my Cradily so that I'm not taking super effective Brutal Swing damage or Crunch damage potentially, and the opponent really just never goes for Sludge Bomb unless shields are down here. So we're just going to be going for the Rock Tomb debuffs, trying to make this Guzzlord very, very sad to be in front of us right now. These two debuffs basically make this damage almost non-existent, but they are going to bring in the Toxipex, so now I go for the Rock Tomb on good timing, which is just 3, and then the move here. And then we come in with Claydol to either get the farm down or take the energy, and we're going to be able to get this farm down. All I have to do now is get to an Ice Beam as long as the opponent doesn't get to 2 moves before I do, and they did not. They're just maybe now getting to a charge move or 2. We're going to go for the Ice Beam and get the knockout in this Guzzlord, though, and that's going to be a good game well played. Next game, we got Claydol up against Drapeon. This is a pretty decent lead. However, Drapeon can very comfortably almost win this matchup. But opponent here, not wanting to take that chance, they're going to come in with an Emolga, and I can immediately fire off the Rock Tomb. And I consider possibly staying in this matchup as well. But I'm actually going to come in with my Cradily here. It's because I can get to these Rock Tombs quicker on Cradily, and the opponent has a lot of energy. Acrobatics is probably going to be enough to go for a 2-shot here, which it is. Opponent not quite at the second Acrobatics yet. I can go for our Rock Tomb, and that actually might make it so that we might almost live the next Acrobatics. But up 2 shields, we are fine here. Opponent staying in. At this point, I'm like, I'm up 2 shields. I'll just come back in with Claydol. But the opponent throws a Discharge Bait, and that means there's another discharge coming, and I know that now that they've emptied all of their energy, I will shield this over farm. They go for the Acrobatics. I can go for a Rock Tomb into the Drapeon, and now that makes Claydol's life a little bit easier, because the thing with Drapeon is that it actually ends up getting nearly 2-shot by the moves. I believe it's Crunch, and then they can go for an Aqua Tail and just about knock out. Like, that's how much damage that does. That's insane. And Claydol cannot comfortably farm down before they get to those 2 moves. So, unfortunately, it's really more awkward for Claydol with shields down. But if you have shields up, then you're fine. We do land an Ice Beam here, and at this point, I know that I can just go ahead and let Wigglytuff finish the game. The opponent not going to have enough HP to go for 3 charge moves, which is what they would need to get the knockout. But they have Emolga. I have been bamboozled. Opponent is going to be going for a move here. I'm actually going to try to make a catch. I don't know exactly if I got the catch, but thankfully we did. I just kind of did that one out of feeling. We're going to be able to charm down and land an Icy Wind on the Cradily, and that's going to take the game here. Well played to the opponent. Next game in, we got Claydol versus a Galarian Weezing, similar to the Drapeon situation, but a little bit better in our favor. But opponent's going to come in with a Talonflame, and here's where knowledge of the timing of moves and things can help, right? I know that normally me and Talonflame would CMP on 5, but because they swapped in the Talonflame, I can freely go for the Rock Tomb before they get to the move because of the 1-turn delay when they swap. So, nicely done here for us, but they do go for the Brave Bird. That was a very smart play by my opponent, honestly. Because they're taking like no damage from these Bullet Seeds anyway, so going for the Brave Bird there is actually an extremely good play by them. But we're going to be able to outpace. The next Incinerate will not knock out here, and I can go for 1 and then the move, but the opponent quickly swaps in. For some reason, my brain says press the Grass Knot into the Poison type. That should have been a Rock Tomb. I made a mistake. My brain just panicked when they saw that because I didn't think I was going to get to a move anyway. So I'm just press over here. I don't even know why, dude. I don't even know why, but I know I'm not the only one who's ever done something like that, and it's just hilarious. But we're going to get the farm down here if I shield. Now, do I think this is worth a shield? Yeah, because I don't know what's in the back yet, and Wigglytuff's going to have a tough time, and I have some HP left. I'd like to be able to land this Rock Tomb if the opponent's going to come back in with their Talonflame, which they do not. They have a Mandibuzz, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe Wigglytuff can manage here. Maybe Wigglytuff can manage here, but the opponent has too much energy and HP, and I'm not going to be able to get to a move before they get to at least 2, so good game to them. Well played. Oh no, I forgot to take out the queue time. It's all right. It wasn't super long. At least, yeah, there we go. All right, yeah, we're getting there, see? Edit failure. But we get into the next game with Cradily versus Annihilape. This is a neutral-ish matchup. We're doing neutral damage back to them, but they're like, you know what? I don't want to play this matchup. I'm totally weak. I don't know, man. I'm totally weak. I don't know why they just quit, but next game, we have an Alolan Sandslash. Sometimes I wonder if it's like they don't want to play against me because they think I'm recording and they don't want to be in a video. And maybe that's true. And if that is, I can respect that. I absolutely respect that. I know that if somebody doesn't like a content creator and doesn't want to be in their videos, they just top left. That's fair. That's okay. But I'm otherwise curious as to why they would have done that, because they had play in that matchup. So either way, doesn't matter though. We take the wins where we can get them. Alolan Sandslash here and a Cradily. And we're going to be trying to get a snipe with Cradily here now that their HP is low. We went down to shield, but we're hopeful that we can make do with what we have. Cradily is going to be able to get to the Rock Tomb before opponent can get anywhere near an Acrobatics. And that means that they're going to have to shield this or take a ton of damage. They do decide to shield, and that means now that we can live the Acrobatics to come if they go for it. I'm going to let this go because I know I live that Acrobatics. And the opponent going for a Discharge Bait. I don't know why. But Acrobatics doesn't hit hard enough for me to have to worry about that. So now I can just go for another Rock Tomb. And if they go for another move, I know I can live this because we saw how much damage Acrobatics did in the last couple games ago. So I can just let this go. Opponent goes for another Discharge. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to let this go because there's no way they have an Acrobatics, right? Right? Nah, they got it. So we just go down with all that energy being gone, but we're able to get to a Rock Tomb on Cradily, which will hopefully be enough. Rock Tomb still hits pretty decently enough to be able to do some damage here, and that's kind of what I'm hoping it's enough, and it is, thankfully. And the opponent has a Kanto Marowak in the back. We have a shield up on Wiggly. We're just going to come in, they're going to top left, and that's going to be a good game. The joy of Wigglytuff is that if you hit something that it's good against, it probably wins you games in most cases, because that can be either the opponent's flexible Pokemon in... Oh, and that was a nice catch by the opponent, dude. I should have just gone for the Rock Tomb there. But that was a sick catch by the opponent. We're going to have a Cradily, though, to bring in on this. Wigglytuff, if it's on the right thing, or Cradily, if it's on the right thing, they can just win you games because they have the ability to propel forward out of matchups with energy. And the opponent lets that Rock Tomb through, and I'm like, okay, I don't want a chance getting hit with an Ice Beam here. I like the fact that my Cradily is healthy, but opponent goes for an Aria, and I'm hoping, okay, maybe they just don't get to another one, which they don't, which is fine with me. I have a very healthy Cradily here, and that's going to be really nice to have, considering the opponent's got that Cladle. But I go for the Grass Knot, but apparently the game says no. You're going to throw a charge move. We can go back, and you can see that I very clean. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Keep your eye on that Grass Knot. You know I hit it. I hit it. Watch this. Here it comes. Cladle's coming in. I hit the button. Thankfully, this isn't going to knock out, but that upset me quite greatly. I should have been able to go for that Grass Knot and not give them a Mud Slap afterwards. Because I'm still alive, I am going to just come in with my Cladily here because it's still fairly safe, right? They just use their energy. We have a little bit left over, at least I think, but they have a Mandibuzz, and right now I think it's a pretty clear way to win this game. We just make sure that we save the shield for Wigglytuff and just do whatever damage we can in the moment to the Mandibuzz and try to limit the amount of damage and energy that they're able to inflict upon the Wigglytuff with 2 debuffs here. I don't want to let them farm me down, but thankfully that was a CMP tie. Opponent was trying to get to the move before I did, and thankfully made a little bit of a misplay there. Opponent is going to try to undercharge it, but we can just come in with our Wigglytuff, and honestly, I shield this first move. We go for the Icy Wind. Instead of trying to double up on Swifts here, we're just going to go for the Icy Wind, because if I can drop the amount of damage that they do, they can never KO me with a charge move, and I can just charm them down from there. So this is just, you know, yes, Wiggly is a degenerate Pokemon, but genuinely in the hands of I'm not even going to call myself a good trainer after the way I've been doing last few days, man. But in the hands of somebody who knows how to like read those situations, Wigglytuff is a very utility sort of. I'm about to call it a utility knife. Absolutely not. It's the most rigid steak knife you've ever done, but in the hands of an artiste, it will cut the steak quite finely, trainers. You heard it here. Wigglytuff is a steak knife. It reminds me of when my daughter was walking around with a toy knife that she had found in my older daughter's kitchen set. If y'all remember way back in the day, there was a video that I did in which I hold her in my lap when she was just like 9 months old, right? Had her in my lap. She'd hear it with the videos, and one day she found this this knife, and she just had it. She would never let it go. And she just the whole time. It's in my Discord server too, an emote, which I'm gonna just shamelessly segue into that. My Discord server is a boon of resources that you can get, and also direct access to meet myself if you ever want just to have somebody to answer your questions. Great community of dedicated trainers, and they're all trying to help each other get better together. Join the YouTube membership or the Patreon. That is how you get into that server. I know, oh boy, paywall. I know. It's okay, because if I didn't own it, I would pay for it. Genuinely. Opponent comes in with Drapeon here. Getting back into the action. Thank you for listening to my short advertisement. It all comes from Wigglytuff being a knife. Okay? That's it just stabs people. That's what Wigglytuff does. It is just the wiggliest knife of that you've ever seen. The opponent being this low on their Drapeon with a debuff. I'm not worried about these Aqua Tails. Aqua Tails without the debuff are a little bit of a problem, but I can just charm down here. And I'm actually trying to see if I can get the opponent to throw one more Aqua Tail, because I don't want to cede any farm to the Talonflame. So I'm actually going to go ahead and let them get this move. If they are not on the charge move, I can go for one Rock Tomb, and we are going to go and get rid of this Talonflame. This is going to be enough. You saw one of those rare moments where I actually have a win condition that requires me to not tap my phone, but we do make it. Good game. My worry was that I would have to give a lot of farm to the Talonflame, and that would lose me the game, because at that point they would have definitely been able to get at least 100 energy off of me just by doing that. So opponents got the Cradily. They're going to come in just like I did previously. I'm going to look to make a difference in HP. This time I'm going to build it to the Rock Tomb, because they did throw. I will always shield the first move from Cradily, and y'all now we're going to play me, and we're going to Rock Tomb me, and I'm going to be angry about it, but that's okay. Comes with the job, baby. Rock Tomb is going to do, a middling amount of damage. Once we have applied our own Rock Tomb to the opponent, they can never really get us with two of these, so we can safely just bring our own Cradily in here, and the opponent is going to bank energy. I don't know if they have a move, but I am going to assume that because I can't keep track of anybody's energy anymore in this day and age, my old man brain is starting to prevent me from doing so. I'm going to just assume that they have a move and try to play accordingly, and be happy when they don't. Brutal Swing does unfortunately knock us out. Wigglytuff comes in and applies some charms, and the opponent not able to get to the Sludge Bomb they dearly needed. Weezing's going to come back in. We're going to bring our Claydol in, because we absolutely cannot let Wiggly get hit with this Weezing. We're going to go ahead and let a move go. I'm happy enough. I know that that's not going to knock out. I'm going to go for the Rock Tomb. Opponent makes, however, the sickest catch. I don't even know how they went and did this one, but good. You know what? They got it. Good for them. But they leave because they didn't have enough HP, and that's all we need to do is get rid of the Weezing. Next game, Talonflame. This time not so easy, because I am not a turn ahead. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to over farm, and I want you guys to pay attention to this matchup, because I learned how this matchup goes when I played it. The Brave Bird after a Rock Tomb debuff does just under half of your Glaydol's HP if you have a good ranked one. So, that being the case, I should be letting this go. They go for Fly. Okay. I'm like, that might be a Brave Bird and dip, because I don't think anyone would want to stay. So I'm like, okay, if they have Fly, they're going to fly me again, surely. No, they go for the Brave Bird, but this is where I learn it. And now, because I can go for this, I was going for the Rock Tomb right away in case they tried to snipe me. But we're going to be able to hit him with a Rock Tomb and knock him out. They don't want to go down the shield. Superior comes in, and I'm like, well, all right, I got to put Wiggly on it. I really don't have a choice now, do I? So, yeah, this team kind of hurts. Superior kind of destroys it. So, that's something that I also learned, but that's okay. Once in a while, You're just going to have that one Pokemon that beats your whole team. And honestly, that's how the game has become in this day and age. Now, thankfully, the opponent, however, decides not to shield that. And now I have a decision of, do I want to shield this Wiggly and try and get rid of the superior? Yes, I do. If I can even get taken out here, I go for a snipe, and the opponent has the move. Hopefully it's not Frenzy Plant, though. They do have an Aerial Ace. We're going to be fine with that. We are going to be able to take out the damage, but the opponent's got more Peko, and every single time I see this Pokemon, I swear, it's only when I can't deal with it. Cradily, normally a really good response into the more Peko, but because it's just going to be able to spam out moves so darn quickly, and Wiggly just through that Swift, I'm not getting to another move here. So quite unfortunate that the opponent can just simply overfarm and get to a second move because they just need a Psychic Fangs. They can live some charms. Just not going to go in my favor here, but we can't have a perfect 5-0 to end a set now, can we? We have to find one person running the more Peko when I don't need to see it anyway. But that's all right. That's how it happens. Normally this team should beat more Peko on paper, but when you're down a shield, yeah. Also, if you haven't already, I don't think I've addressed it directly, but if you guys want to use a regular Cradily, you don't need a Shadow. You can use a regular one. It does just fine. I actually think that the regular is better than the Shadow, but that Shadow does some damage, man. That thing really does hit. So if you're in the mood for a Shadow Dilly, this is a good team for it. But let me know in the comments if you've been having any success in the Great League. If y'all have been paying attention to my streams lately, I am in the 2300s, maybe, no, 2300s now, and I am having struggles, man. But hopefully we'll make it back up soon. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you as always. Appreciate y'all. Bye.